almost. And when I see that flag flying on the 4th of July, I know that as long as we have some good people in this country, that we will continue to survive as one of the best countries in the world. And I hope that when I'm gone, that there will be people like myself will try to carry on the banner. And we have those right at this time are taking a chance and with their lives, and they have the same things in mind, is to make sure that a total type war will never reach the shores of the United States. And hopefully that there will be the volunteers that will continue to carry that on. So come out to the parade on the 4th of July. Our American Legion Post will be leading the parade, the colors. And although like many organizations, we are beginning to wane a little bit, and they're all getting older. And we have one member of our American Legion Post will be 100 in a few months. And he was a B-17 bomber pilot during World War II. So as long as we have people like those who served and are serving now, our country should be safe. And please support the flag, support your men in uniform, support the veterans as you're doing. And it was a privilege of mine, actually, to have known two of the founders of the American Legion. So that kind of tells my age, too. So anyway, I appreciate the opportunity to say a few words. And as I say, salute that flag and keep in mind what it really means and what it gives to you. Thank you very much.
Do we have the new one? Oh, it is. Maybe. No, we don't. You expect me to read that print? No, I got it. Absolutely. Do we have the monthly affirmation for July on a slide? Very good. Take 5-6 seconds to read that to yourself quietly. Internalize it. And together, I am creative. Creativity is my natural state of being. I am immersed in endless possibilities. And yes, that is true. For Sunday, July 1st, my creative power enables me to create a new day whenever I choose. A day that starts from a place of peace and order will often stay that way. Likewise, a day that begins in anxiety and fear may continue to expand upon those negative energies unless I change my outlook. I can accept the day I'm given, or I can change my viewpoint. The concept of time enables us to measure, to plan, and to relate to each other in important ways. As an expression of infinite spirit, however, I am not bound by human-made limitations. At any time, I can declare a negative day complete and begin again, no matter what clocks or calendars may read. My creative power enables me to create a new day whenever I choose. And Psalms 118, 23 through 24. This is the Lord's doing. It is marvelous in our eyes, and this is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Amen.
We're now preparing for meditation. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesty above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. Oh, beautiful for pilgrim feet whose stern impassioned stress a thoroughfare for freedom beat across the wilderness. America, America, God mend thine every flaw. Confirm thy soul in self-control, thy liberty in law. Oh, beautiful for patriot dream that sees beyond the years, thine alabaster cities gleam undimmed by human tears. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea.
As we ready ourselves for meditation this morning, take a deep breath with me and feel God's grace settle in to every cell of your body. Breathe. Allow yourself to sit with open arms in a receptive position and let the chair support you. And know that God's grace walks with you each moment. As we move through life, challenges come in our way, and praying for grace is what we do. The grace of God is there but for the asking. Breathe. Breathe into this moment, this place, this temple of freedom that has been gifted to us by our thoughts, by our heart, and by God. It is granted to us through the lives of those who came before and fought for our freedom. Grace. Breathe in the freedom of grace and allow it to settle in as we go into the silence. As we bring our awareness into our room, know that grace precedes understanding, and understanding precedes peace, and out of peace comes freedom. Good morning. Am I on? Yes, I am. Sorry. Thanks, Margaret. That song always does me in. So, you know. All right. So, 4th of July is one of my favorite holidays, second only to Christmas in my life. And as I was looking to talk with you today about freedom and letting it ring, I found a poem, or an essay actually, by James Dillett Freeman. For those of you who don't know, James Dillett Freeman is the poet laureate of Unity. And here's what he wrote. Freedom. The word rings like a bell, doesn't it? It lifts the heart and stirs the passions. But just what is freedom? How free is free? I have a large, beautiful, extremely active dog. My dog has free access to the yard at all times, and the house, and the yard she lives a very free life. For the most part, doing only what she wants to do. My yard is fenced, but the fence is more of a mental limit than a physical obstacle. Anytime she wishes, she could be over it like the wind. Not the fence, but only her own acceptance of the fence keeps her in the yard. My dog and her fence have made me think about freedom in a very different terms than I had ever thought about it before. I have come to realize that the fence does not keep her in bondage. It keeps her free. Suppose she did jump the fence and go wandering off. Would she be free?
How free would she be, skittering frightened and bewildered through the unfamiliar maze of the city's streets? The fence does not limit her freedom as much as it guarantees it. Freedom is and always must be a relative matter. I may be free to step out of a window, but the moment I do, I lose my freedom. I am made captive and plummeted to the earth by forces over which I have no control. I have asserted my freedom beyond my power to maintain it. I have gone beyond my fence. I built my dog's fence. In the case of human beings, they themselves may have to build their fences. Not all, of course. Many of our fences have been built by wise and loving people who lived before us, examined the world, as I have for my dog, and realized where fences were needed if they were to preserve and not lose their liberty. If we are wise, we accept the fences raised for us by laws, tradition, religious belief, the moral code, good manners, and consideration. For if we go too far beyond the fences of reasonable restraint, we may find we have not extended our freedom. We have lost what freedom we had. To go too far is to come up short. I wonder if we as a nation are still here after so many years because the founding fathers were as aware of fences as they were of freedom when they wrote the Declaration of Independence. God made us free, for he made us in his image. That is why in the heart of every person stirs the desire freely to express his God potential. That is why we feel a discontent with anything less than freedom. But we misinterpret it when we feel that it tells us to throw off every restraint and every limitation. There are two kinds of freedom in this world. We have to be free from and free to. For to be free means to be free from everything that keeps us from achieving our maximum potential, everything that weakens us. And it means free to grow, to achieve dominion over ourselves and all the forces at work within us, to develop and express our creative powers. We are, all of us, freest when we have the maximum control over ourselves and our lives, when we can say to ourselves, go, and we may go, and when we can say, stay, and we stay. So as I pondered these words, I realized how strongly they really resonate with me. 4th of July for me has and always been a party. And when I lived in Turlock, I lived catty corner from the college. So, do they still do the fireworks down there? So we had a ringside seat without the traffic because we had our front yard facing where the fireworks went off. And the first year that they did it, they broadcast the band over the college radio station. So we hooked up speakers in our front yard and entertained the entire neighborhood. So we had a ringside seat. We invited our friends over. We invited family over. We pulled out the grills, and people brought side dishes, and the ice cream makers came out of the closet. And we had us a grand 4th of July celebration. And we did that for 11 years, I believe. 11 straight years. And it grew from, a dozen of us to 60 or more, because we had friends of friends coming in. And the celebration got grander and bigger, and the music got better because we piped our own music. But the best part of the whole day was the time that we spent
having the freedom to celebrate with our friends and our family in a way that we chose to celebrate. Mostly with food, because that's what our family does. But what is freedom? So what is freedom to you? Freedom to choose. What else?
Freedom to be.
Freedom to be. Set my own schedule. That's from a retired woman back in the room. The freedom to not have to set the alarm except on Sunday mornings. What else? What is freedom to you?
Freedom to be who I'm supposed to be.
Freedom to be who you're supposed to be. Anybody else? Everybody has a little bit of a different perception, but there's a commonality in there as well. And with these freedoms, is there not some responsibility? If we take and do not set some boundaries over what we perceive as freedom, we might step on somebody else's toes. We might do it anyway, especially if you're me, because I have one of those non-filter mouths. So my Mo, my 85-pound golden retriever, I only have a 3-foot fence in my backyard. Mo could literally walk over it. He's that big, right? He chooses not to. And I could drive that pretty blue truck of mine 150 miles an hour down the road if I so choose. But there are consequences to that. So my freedom comes with some self-imposed limitations and some by law. Freedom is only free when it is accompanied by certain guidelines. So let's define freedom. Freedom is the quality or state of being without thought or restraint, bondage, limitation, or repression. It's a quality or a state of being. It's not a physicality. It's not a locality. It's up here. It's between our ears. It's our thoughts that lend us freedom. Does a physical disability make us any less free to do and think and believe as we choose? No. In John chapter 8, verse 32, he says, "And you will know the truth, and the truth will make you free." So is truth what defines freedom? And whose truth are we talking about? What if my truth and your truth are different? Then what? Then what? So we come to some guidelines. In 1941, in Franklin Delano Roosevelt's State of the Union speech, he said that he outlined a world based on 4 essential human freedoms. And this is what he hoped the world would embrace. The first one was freedom of speech and expression for everyone. The second one was freedom of every person to worship God in his or her own way for everyone in the world. And for everyone in the world, he had also outlined a freedom from want, whether it was physical, emotional, spiritual, or economic. And his last one was a freedom from fear for everyone in the world. It's kind of what we believe in unity, isn't it? Kind of resonates with our unity principles, does it not? And for the most part, as a person in California, I have lived that life. With exception of when my father would interfere with my freedom. But for the most part, I was able to do what I wanted to do, get educated where I wanted to go to school, believe what I wanted to believe whenever I wanted to believe it, and pretty much say what I wanted to say. Yes, there were some consequences for some things that came out of my mouth, but I was free to say them. And I know that that is not the truth for everyone in this country, and certainly not everyone in this world. But it has been my truth, and I'm blessed. We are all free in certain ways, and you identified some of them a minute ago. You're free to be alive. It doesn't cost anything to be alive. You're free to enjoy your life. Enjoyment and joy in life is a choice. It's not an inalienable right. It is a choice. We are free to enter into activities of everyday living with enthusiasm and interest. Or we could show up morose and cranky. I stay home on those days. We are free to love and to be loved, whether it's with each other or with our pets or with, just life and the plant that's growing outside my house that's actually in bloom and I don't have a green thumb. And we are free to express ourselves as long as it does no harm to anyone else. And sometimes we err, and that's okay. Nelson Mandela said, "For to be free is not merely to cast off one's chains, but to live in a way that respects and enhances the freedoms of others." Brilliant words. So in freedom, we're charged with including others in our lives and allowing them to have their freedoms as well. So I was looking for the daily word, and for some reason I couldn't get July's daily word to come up until this morning. So I went online, and sometimes you can find old daily words. I found one from 1943. This is very interesting. And remember, in 1943, we were still at war. And so this is kind of a different daily word than you're used to hearing. And hear me out on this one. Dear friend, today the United States of America is celebrating Independence Day. This year, more of us are aware of the real meaning of the day than heretofore. More determined that all the people of the United States shall continue to have independence and freedom. And the thought of the people of the United States is reaching beyond our own borders to the peoples of all lands. The prayer in our hearts is that they too may find a way of life that gives them life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We ask you as a truth student to join us today in a prayer of thanksgiving for freedom and independence in our own land, and in a prayer that this world conflict may be speedily ended and that liberty, justice, righteousness, and peace may be established in the whole world. What we want is a righteous peace, founded on Christian principles. Thus we are today establishing a peace consciousness that will bring enduring peace. Interesting, isn't it? Different perspective. So last year's July 4th had a quote from Eric Butterworth in which he wrote, "We need to think of freedom in a more creative sense. The freedom to be big enough to deal with life by releasing our own spiritual capacities. My idea takes on an entirely new aspect when I consider it in terms of being free to do or be something rather than freed from something." So we can see from the two daily words that from 1943 to 2017, there has been a shift in the consciousness of this world to some degree. Are we done yet? I don't think so. But we still have the freedom to shift and change that consciousness so that all people can have what we celebrate each year. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
So how do we let freedom ring? It's a hard question. It's not an easy answer. When we choose to let freedom ring, we are charged with the responsibility to allow each of us to be who we are and who we are meant to be in God's image. To speak kindly to each other, to meet each other with conversation, consideration, and respect when we talk with those who may not believe the same way we do. We are to extend kindness, to be of service to others. For in that kindness and that service comes our freedom and comes our ability to let freedom ring. So as we go into this 4th of July and celebrate our country's 242nd birthday, I leave you with this quote from Albert Camus. Freedom is nothing but a chance to be better. Namaste. Have a happy 4th of July.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies to the ocean, white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. Would you like to join me in singing that? God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies to the ocean, white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. Thank you.
Good morning. These prayers are prayed for a month here. They're sent out to the healing prayer team, of which everyone is welcome to join. And then they're sent on to Unity, where they're prayed for another month there. So there's a lot of prayer energy that goes into every one of these prayer requests. Divine Mother, Heavenly Father, these prayers are about windows through which your love flows into our life, removing all blockages. We are grateful. Thank you. Om Peace. Amen.
It is now time for our love offering. And in this moment, we are free to do as we choose. So let us say our offering statement together. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive.
And please join me in singing What Is Mine to Give. What is mine to give? What is mine to do? All I want is to share myself with you. So I stand here asking, what can I do? What is mine to give? I give it to you. What is mine to give? What is mine to do? All I want is to share myself with you. So I stand here asking, what can I do? What is mine to give? I give it to you. What is mine to give? What is mine to do? All I want is to share myself with you. So I stand here asking, what can I do? What is mine to give? I give it to you.
So take a deep breath in. And as we receive these love offerings and these blessings, we know that they are of God through us and out into our immediate community and eventually our world. We know that we are part of the change of consciousness that happens when we are free to give and do as we are led to. We receive these love offerings with great gratitude. And together we say, Amen.
And now we're going to form a circle and say the prayer for protection, and then we'll close the service with the peace song.
And as we say our prayer of protection, let us direct that prayer to Reverend Paul, who is leaving us and leaving our area and headed for new adventures in another state. So send him off with our prayer for protection. Together. The light of God surrounds us. The light of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as Creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow, to take each
each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace.